Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, ain't never done a crime in my life.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
You just asked me to smoke crack with you the other day.
Okay, in my heart, I have never done a crime.
Then that's all that counts.
I literally did ask him to smoke crack with me.
Yeah, like you even sent me the video. There's a video accompanying it on Facebook. Maybe you're sleep posting. I don't.
No, it's from the Wolf of Wall Street. It's like one of the funniest scenes in any movie. Jonah Hill, like pulling Leo DiCaprio into like a booth at like a Denny's. It's like, smoke crack with me, bro. And I'm like, that is the most ludicrous scene on earth. And what's funny is that the dude that's based on, I always forget his name. He's like, he's like, that was a very accurate representation. The movie was very accurate at how out of control we were. But he's like, it was still kind of subdued. We were more out of control.
Yikes.
And I'm like, damn, dog, you were smoking crack in the back of a Denny's?
They should have asked him that specific point, I feel like.
In the panel, I definitely would have brought that up.
Yeah. So, well, I think we got a good show. New Eldar previews. We got talking about should we allow Forge Roll at tournaments? Shadespire's out. New releases, a plethora coming soon to a friendly local game store near you. And Black Libraries.
Yeah.
And, scale back your Hulu accounts if Rick and Morty's over.
If you're paying for the Hulu beta, you might want to...
Yeah. Go back to the $7.99.
You might want to go back to your account settings real quick before they charge you.
Yeah, like for real. That's just... I'm never doing it again. Anyways. So Haspil, what do you got for us on Shadespire?
All right. So yeah, everybody knows by now. And if you don't, you've been listening. You've been probably living under a rock. I can't talk today.
Me neither.
Shadespire is coming out this weekend, and it's going to be the starter, which is just Garrick's Reavers, which are pretty much chaos, and the Steel Hearts Champions, which are 3 Stormcast Eternals, and sets up the starter pack is kind of like X-Wing in the sense that when you get the starter, you can't really split it because you actually need all the cards and all the stuff that's in there, just like X-Wing, but it's a good value at $60. There's going to be 2 more, war bands coming out right on their heels. The guys who I was going to wait and see what Shadespire was going to be like. Then I saw the Sepulchral Guard. I can't even pronounce it right. Can't talk tonight.
Sepulchra? Nope. Still can't do it.
Sepulchral Guard.
I don't even know why Rob's going to even try.
I can talk. I'm a real boy.
And these guys are like a skeleton army, but what I love about them is they look like the old Ray Harryhausen, Sinbad skeletons, the Jason and the Argonaut skeletons
Best
and stuff like that.
Skeletons ever.
Which is just fantastic, So when I saw those guys, I was like, I'm in. And then they're also going to have the Iron Skulls boys. It's implied there's going to be, Skaven and all it. They're going to have some kind of elf war band of some kind, but the setting is really, really cool. And if you go to warhammerunderworlds.com, GW has gone all out on this game. They have how to play videos. They have, Duncan is in overtime showing you how to paint every single warband that is out. It is really pretty incredible. They give you hints and play styles, tips and tricks and everything. And what really attracts me to this game is some of these other games that I really liked. If you wanted 3 cards of something, like X-Wing is this way, and I'm trying to think of the other one, the Dice Masters, that I really enjoyed. But if you wanted more cards, you essentially had to buy more of that pack, which made it almost a collectible game. Shadespire is not like that. It's like the cards are limited to 1, in your deck. So you wind up building 2 decks, one of like objectives and strategies that you can use. and the other one is like of like bonuses that you can, when you achieve objectives, you get these tokens that you can now cash in to make your guys better. And the games last 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, it's really, really fast, which means that you could actually have a tournament on a weeknight in, 2 to 3 hours, which is kind of unheard of for GW stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. It looks really competitive, looks really balanced. I am super pumped for it. And I hope it takes off. I mean, they've really pushed.
That video that you were talking about, that how to play video, was so good, so concise, so well produced. It got me so into the game.
It's perfect. It's perfect. And when I played a game at the a demo game, I remember saying this. I was just like, oh man, F this game, because I'm going to spend a lot of money on it. But the truth is, you're not going to spend a lot of money on it. Everything is reasonably priced. I mean, these factions are $30, and they come with 5 to 7 miniatures. I mean, the Stormcast one comes with 3, but still, I mean, when you consider that a blister is $30 and you don't get cards, you don't get a game, you get a guy. I think these things are reasonably priced. You could probably buy everything that's going to be out for the game in 2 weeks for less than $200. And that's pretty crazy. So
I can't remember this last time I only spent $200 on GW.
On a GW game. I mean, and that's if you buy everything, which obviously most people are not going to do. You have your favorite faction.
A good game. Like, this game is so well developed, we're going to play it. It's not like Prospero and Betrayal. Like, those were games. They're like, but no one played them. People tried them maybe once or twice, but we bought them because they were sick as deals and minis.
Yeah, that's very true.
And they were like $150 retail. You get a lot of value in your miniatures in there, but like, you just throw away. I just throw away all the garbage in there. Like, I don't care about these cards. I don't care about this game board. Shadespire looks like a fun, actually polished, developed game. And where it seemed like with the last game, sorry, let me just this last thing out. All the other games seemed like they were just throwing shit on the wall, seeing what stuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what's cool about this is that you actually buy this box, a $60 box. Value-wise, it's a value because of the contents, not the figures. Like, you get the game boards, you get the 2 decks of cards, you get the extra set of cards, you get the tokens, and that's the stuff you need. So now you can just buy the warband boxes from there. So that's where the value is, and that might be like the first time we've seen that, where the value is in the stuff you get and not necessarily the figures, because you only get 8 figures for $60, and they're essentially easy to build, snap fit.
They're all snap fit. Everything you need is in the box. So since they don't come with glue, I think the only thing that you need is probably clippers to take them off the sprue. But anything else, they don't come with paint. They're cast in different color plastic. You can play immediately out of the box. And it reminds me of, a skirmish miniatures game crossed with elements of X-Wing, crossed with elements of HeroClix, crossed with elements of Magic the Gathering. And it looks really, really exciting.
They're definitely trying to hit up this competitive. They're right out the gate. This is competitive. This is competitive. We're already seeing it on, some of the bigger events, bigger GT, bigger cons have, events for it. So tournaments for it, basically. So right out the gate, we're seeing that this might be a thing.
I'll tell you what, I get high to deck building cross with miniatures.
That's what this is. Yeah.
I get high to that. I think it's one of the coolest, funnest things to crack out on. I do it a little bit right now in 8th edition 40K with stratagems, because I have the data cards for my Chaos Space Marines. I just love flipping through them and putting them in my little stack and just figuring out the combos in my mind. And they don't really, like, the cards in that game are just game aid. They're not really, you don't need them. Man, if I had a deck and I could mix the deck up and pull from the deck, I'd be like, oh my God.
I have a feeling you're going to go down hard on Shadespire. I really do, because just being able to just play the little demo game I played, there were so many different combos that you can unlock in the order that you unlock a buff or the objective that you might pick. The Chaos guys had an objective, like essentially whenever a certain number of models die, they all become inspired, which means they get buffed up. You know,
they go Super
become
Saiyan.
Yeah, they go Super Saiyan, and it doesn't matter who dies. Like, so even when the other guy dies, or if your own guys die, you're only helping yourself if you're playing that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it could just be, you know, like, depending on the objectives that you pick, depending on how you take the victory points and use them, it seems like this is a very, very strategic game that is something GW has been looking for. It's simple to play, but hard to master. And I think they've been really hunting for that for a long, long time. I'm excited for it. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see where this goes from here. I'm definitely keeping an eye on it.
In line, though, with Tabletop Marketplace, Shadespire can't be the only news we have this week.
No, I mean, so that is the only release for this week. I think there's some sleeves, card sleeves that also come with it.
That was the other thing I wanted to bring up is that in kind of an unprecedented move for a game, GW didn't release proprietary sized cards.
Yep,
they're like
standard
normal
size
cards.
Say what?
You can use card sleeves. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you don't have to buy their sleeves. You can use the standard Magic the Gathering card sleeves. Or I think it's what is that? What's that size? Standard North America board game. I think it's also the same.
Yeah,
X-Wing sleeves, X-Wing pilot cards, same size. So that was cool to see. Next week, or going on pre-order this Saturday, will be all the Eldar stuff. Yeah, boy. The boys are back. So you got Eldrad coming out as a single release, straight out of the, what is it, Deathwatch box?
Straight out of the Webway.
Yeah, straight out of Webway. $25 release. Then we got the re-release with, I guess inside the box is the Index or the Craft World where applicable rules for the Triumvirate of You Need for $75. So it's a re-release, what we saw earlier in the year. The Start Collecting Craft Worlds box for $85, which of course has your some sampling of Wraith figures and Wraith-like abilities. The dice cubes are really interesting because normally we see a larger, like one pack of dice for these releases for $20, but these are smaller dice sizes coming out in their cubes for $11.25 because there's like one for each craft world. There's like, you know, Iandin's yellow, et cetera, et cetera. So that was kind of cool to see. They're switching it up. I wonder if they had done that for Marines, if that would have caught on. Like, you know, hey, here's a green one, here's a red one, et cetera, et cetera. The Craft World book itself is $40. The data cards, once again, are $15. Then you got some other cool stuff. It doesn't look like there's a limited edition book, or at least they didn't give the solicitation out to stores for it. But that may be on the site that you can order, but you can't get it through your local store. There's a hardback book for Ghost Warrior, audiobook Hand of Darkness, and some other paperback books, re-releases and things coming out, Crusade book, just some collected collections. So overall, it looks like a pretty robust Eldar with a couple of reboxing and now new clan pack releases there, which is, you know, typical for what we've seen. They have a lot of ground to cover with a lot of different factions. So there isn't going to be a huge new model release with every book, I don't think.
Well, Eldar, not a big fan, but I know Rob, that was your first army, wasn't it? Or what?
It was, yeah, it was one of the ones I collected for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I did
all the way because it was easy.
I did something really bad with Eldar right when I was getting into the game. Well, this was 4th edition was already out. So I'd been in the game for a while. My buddy Dave had not played, but he used to build models like all the time, like planes and aircraft carriers and stuff. And I asked him which army he liked the look of, and he said Eldar. And I bought him like 2,000 points of Eldar and just gave it to him. And it's such a mean thing to do. Looking back on it, I'm like, that is not a good way to get somebody into 40K. Just be like, oh, here's 200 models you have to paint. Enjoy.
Yeah, we just threw you in the deep end.
Yeah, you should. I think there's enough factions out there that everybody's going to resonate with one of them. And even, inside the faction with different chapters or, craft worlds
or cadres or forge worlds.
Yep. So that's one of the things that makes this hobby so dope is there's layers upon layers like an onion. Warhammer 40K, it's like an onion. You heard it here first.
No, they've heard that before.
Nope. Here first.
So is that it? Is that all is that literally, you got me so hype on Tabletop Marketplace.
That's all I can muster, Saruman.
I have more hype.
What you got?
So in the pre-show, we were talking about audible.com, right? And how much we adore audible.com, and you can like sit there and hobby and listen to a book, a great book at the same time, listen to it while you're driving, all kinds of stuff. It's amazing, right? And I've always said, man, you know what I really would like that would make Audible perfect? If I could get Black Library books on audible.com. Well, guess what? Black Library has about 40 books on audible.com. They are not the Horus Heresy books yet, but they have a whole, like, I think it's 10 or 12 book series. The Beast Arises, all of it is on there. They've got some of the older books there and everything. It is just absolutely fantastic. When you sign up for Audible, this is honestly a huge bargain to get the Black Library books this way. I hope you guys go out and get a bunch of Black Library books so they start throwing everything on there. It is frankly just fantastic.
Yeah, if they found it to be a successful model, then they would just do the Horus Heresy on there too.
Yeah. I think that's honestly what they're waiting for. It looks like they have like the Arman series on there. They have some of the Primarch books on there. Okay. I'm in the chat. Somebody saying Carrion Throne is on there, and there are about 63 books on there now, and now there's Horus Heresy. So it looks like they were just populating it when I checked last. But yeah, that's just fantastic. And we know the quality Black Library puts out. Audible puts out superior quality. Found out one of our friends of the show, Neil Gant, is a guy for audible.com. He's a narrator on there, so check him out. But yeah, this is like honestly the best thing that could have happened. Is like, oh, it's the worst thing for other books because now I'm going to be listening to Black Library a lot.
Good old Audible. Definitely a part of the 7 years that I've been in business. Next Level Painting celebrated our 10-year anniversary 8 days ago. And I've been on Audible since I started because of Mike Haspil. And I can truthfully say I wouldn't be as far as I am today with my business if I didn't have some books to fall back on when I was staying up to 2 a.m. trying to get those commissions out the door. God, love Audible. But we got more tournament talk. Socal Open this weekend. That is an ITC major event. I think it's a new event in line with the Bay Area Open and then the Las Vegas Open, which is in obviously Las Vegas, but this is probably going to have like 100 people playing, and nothing new there. It's going to be a big 8th edition event. But the crazy thing, the thing that's worth noting is that they are essentially using Socal Open as the beta test for their new ITC missions that they're developing, which could be pretty cool for 8th edition. We already began playtesting them in the Irvine Beats Lab this weekend with my friend Alan and Joe and Michael. And we like them. We enjoy them. We think they're actually pretty good. The only issues we have with them are the same issues that we've always had. And that's not with missions. That's just with match play and not having enough hours to play enough turns. That negatively affects every mission. So that's not even unique to these missions. We found them to be very balanced. They are designed to reward you for going second and first, because everyone knows one of the biggest issues in 8th edition is Alpha Strike. Big problem. But these missions, there's a heavy advantage of going second, which I think is kind of an interesting way to balance it. We've talked a lot about not liking too many changes to the way we play the game, but we've always preached balance through mission. And I will just do a quick brief overview of why I like these missions. So it's sort of like Maelstrom, which is they've always had like a Maelstrom chart built in there, but they've removed the randomness of it, and they just say these are your primary objectives. Every turn, your goal is to kill a unit and hold and control an objective. That's in your player turn. So both of us can score that. Both of us can get 2 points. 1 point for controlling an objective, 1 point for killing a unit. So that's basically your baseline. You're saying throughout this game, 2 points a turn and your player turn is your minimum goal. Then there's an end of the battle round objective, which is simply awarded to the player who controlled more objectives and killed more units. So there's a floating 2 points that's only going potentially, it's not going to the, it can be split 1-1, but it can't be you both get 2. One of you can have killed more units, one of you can control more objectives. But it gives a heavy advantage to the guy who goes second, because I'm the one who can stop you from controlling objectives and get my objectives. I'm the one who gets to see what the bar was set at, how many units are destroyed, and get to try to formulate an aggressive plan to go over that. Heavy advantage there, which I like. This great balance. And of course, it's got asymmetrical mission design, and you get to pick 3 secondaries off of a list of secondaries. Some of them are simply 1 point for every unit you kill in the army that has 10 or more wounds, so a maximum of 4. You can get 12 points in secondaries. There's lots of them. There's Headhunter, which is kill characters. There's kill 3 units at a turn. There's lots of them, and you get to set them up for your mission, for your army, and your playstyle. I found them to be very good. Definitely, you're going to want to check the feeds from this weekend, because there's going to be a lot of interest. I think that these missions are going to change who wins the game. I think that they're that dynamic.
Well, I like the sound of them, and I looked at them online too, but I like the sound of them a lot better than the old ones. You know, the 7th edition ITC, which they were essentially still using in 8th. They weren't bad, but these sound a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like them at all. I didn't like the old ones, and they were definitely not good for 8th. And I thought that they could have just. They went super hard in the paint trying to keep Maelstrom in the game, where I think most of the community kind of said that Maelstrom is kind of hard to do at competitive level. But Maelstrom is still part of the game, like tactical objectives. So I think they found a way to do that, keep you moving around the table, thinking about denial, thinking about offense in a way that's not just carrot on a stick. So power to them. Good job over there at Frontline Gaming, doing what they do.
Yeah, definitely, man.
So I feel like we could take a quick commercial break right here, come back into it, and really dive into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
ElrixHobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elrix Hobbies. ElrixHobbies.com. And we're back. Forge World. Rob. What up?
So I guess there is a debate out there whether, well, I think we can all agree that everybody wants to play with their toys, but some events are just straight up banning Forge World. Some are restricting it, like we saw at Battle of Salvation 0-3, which is an interesting take on it. But I think we could, if we kind of take a step back and look at some of the units, and we can just kind of spitball on in the pregame about things out there that might be a little underpointed. Like, do you guys think, like, when you see stuff on the table, do you see stuff on the table for the love from Forge World, or do you see it because it's perhaps underpointed or maybe better, or fills a role that isn't readily available in a particular faction's rules?
I will caveat that by saying if I'm playing at Friday night 40K, which is just casual gaming for the most part, then you see Forge World units for the love. But every time I see it at a tournament, it's because there's some kind of shenanigans I'm going to have to deal with.
Your opinion, if you see Forge World on the table, you're like, what's that do?
And every time I say, what's that do? And every time the person answers it, I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Oh, you do this and this, and it puts out 8 D30 shots and blah, blah, blah. And it can move after it hits you and, and it hits on 2s and et cetera, et cetera. And you're just like, oh, what is that? Oh, it's a drop pod. And you're like, what? I'm exaggerating, obviously, but that's the initial feeling.
But the guts of what you're saying is the truth, though. Like I don't go to tournaments and see Forge World. That's there for the love. It's there to abuse something, or not even abuse they exploit a rule, and use it to the maximum efficiency. I use a single Malefic Lord in my 2,000 point list. Now I'm obviously not spamming Malefic Lords, but I am exploiting the 30 point HQ cost to unlock a battalion, which is, a huge savings. That's like a whole squad of, Brimstone Horrors back in my list, a whole nother this, that. So I'm even at the minimalist level, I'm still I don't give a fuck about a Malefic Lord. I don't care about his fluff. I don't care. I just want a 30 point HQ so I can go to this tournament this weekend and have an extra unit of troop choices. That's it. And have 3 command points.
Yeah. The clutch thing is, not only is it 30 points, it's hits way above its weight with its rules. The ability to damage vehicles, do D6 damage to vehicles within 12, cast out the smite.
Yeah, I guess we can start Malefic Lord. 30 points, 4 up and vulnerable. Psyker. So right out the gate, you have a Psyker that's smite for 30 points. That's the cheapest shit ever. Also an HQ, which unlocks battalions for you at discount rates, and battalions give you 3 command points. It also has a specialized version of smite called Warp Flux, which does D6 damage to vehicles instead of D3. Just built into his profile. He also, when he perils, turns into a Demon Prince stat line. I mean, the guy's 30 points.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Some people have been known to take 13 of them.
Yeah, we've seen a few on the tabletop.
Wow.
Whether that's gonna last when Chapter Approved comes out, and I think the rumor is that they're gonna adjust some points in it. Don't know what yet. Even Forge World units. So,
but the question of the day is essentially with units like Malefic Lords. That's one of the best examples we can use with the unit like that. And there's half a dozen more units that you're seeing at major events. Fire Raptor, Chaos Fire Raptor was in the winning list that won Battle for Salvation. Or Earthshaker platforms were in the winning lists at Nova. They're just, all these things. So the real question of the day is, are you down to ban it, down to keep it? Where you at, Rob?
Where am I at? Well, I think we don't have enough information to make this is just obviously opinion. We don't have enough information to make a solid, hey, I think it's this because this, and this, because we're still in the infancy of 8th edition, right? But I think, judging by what we've seen so far, you can make the argument that, hey, there's some pretty neat lists out there. Maybe if you take a list, you can, like a dedicated Forge World list, like say, for instance, Death Court Creek or whatever. You can play that. That's cool. But if not, maybe limiting it to 0-3 is good. Just, revisit the fact next year when the next Chapter Approved comes out or something like that. I don't think banning Forge World per se is bad, because there's some stuff in Forge World that balances out other things. Like you could, for instance, the super big Zinch Demon, Big Bird, he balances out some other things, believe it or not. Yeah, he's probably underpointed, again, a little powerful, but at the end of the day, he keeps other things in check. So who's to say what design is what at this point? Like, let's just play with some stuff.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm down to do a 0-3, but you can take any 3 you want. I don't want any power level restrictions or anything. I'm down for a 0-3 because we came up with Forge World being banned because you can't trust Forge World to make good rules. But my caveat to that would be 100% Forge World models. No exceptions. Like I want to see, like, because people talk about pay to play, and I want to make sure you pay to play. Like if if it's a part of the game, yeah. I don't want to see you buying a $70 model for Super Chicken. I want you to actually have Super Chicken. And I am down to say if Forge World does not yet make a model for it, I'm down with saying those are exceptions. You can't play them until the models are out.
And I think that might be a good precedent too, because you don't know the intended size, et cetera, of these units. But I think more and more, as we're going to start to see what I anticipate to be actual kind of like Imperial Armor books, like kind of like they did with the Codex books. You could literally come out starting back at scratch, index, Imperial Armor, Imperial Guard, right? Could come out and have all sorts of their own special stratagems for Death Corps, stratagems for Alicia. How dope would that be? And then in those books, now some of the stuff that's out of print, like, I don't know, say the Trojan support vehicle, or say the Earthshaker carriage, stuff that they literally don't sell on their site anymore, aren't going to make it into these, we'll call them Imperial Armor books, but that's the Codex equivalent. And then we start seeing that stuff, you can update it based on the points in the new Imperial Armor book, just like we saw with the Codex book. So we have years of content to still come out between 40K itself and the Forge. Remember, there's 13 Imperial Armor books in print, well, for 7th edition. So there's a ton of content out there still that can supplement the main game. And I think it would just be folly to just be like, nope, those 13 books, they don't exist.
Right. I mean, I feel you. But Haspil has it. So, Haspil would disagree.
I'm going to disagree. And here's why. I've seen not just in the local scene, but a lot of Forge World abuse. People using Forge World units when they don't have the book. They just come to play with a photocopy or something they downloaded, a page that they downloaded off the internet, and then try to give you a bunch of excuses why they don't want to cart the book around because it might get stolen at the local game store. I've actually had these conversations when I was trying to have a tournament, and people were like, "Hey, can I bring Forge World?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like you got to have the book." You know what I mean? And then, I can't bring the book because it's going to get stolen at a local game store and it's $100 book. And I'm just going to bring a photocopy and I'll bring a digital book. And I'm like, unless you're playing 30K, man, like they don't have digital books. So you don't have a valid book. So that means you can't use your Forge World unit. And in that case, those individuals chose not to show up to the tournament. And it's like with all the ChinaCast stuff that's going down, it becomes a lot easier to pay to play. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, I can have freaking 5 Fire Raptors that I paid the cost of 1 Fire Raptor for. And there's no way.
Yeah, and all you're asking is like, so buy the fucking book.
Yeah.
You're out there, buying China stuff and getting this sick discount. Buy the fucking book, man.
Buy the book.
Like I have my Chaos Index, my Chaos Codex, and my main rulebook hard book all in my backpacker tournaments. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
So I don't mean to say like ban Forge World across the board, but I think that essentially forcing players to play against Forge World, I don't like that idea. And that's the way things are now. Is like, oh, okay, well, if I'm going to go up against this and the guy has 2 Fire Raptors, that's an auto lose if I'm playing a Codex army. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't bring any Forge World. Yeah, GG. You know what I mean? So I don't like that idea. And I think the solution is easy. I would like us to see a spectrum of tournaments like there used to be, where you just go, and obviously ITC is dominating everything. So ITC events allow Forge World. And I can't tell you how many times I've played in local ITC events, and I am a little salty about it, to have a really good chance of winning the game and having tabled the rest of the guy, but the guy has 1 Forge World unit on the table and it tables my entire army because it's so imbalanced. So I am a bit salty about that. What I would like to see is a spectrum of tournaments where they tell you right up front, Forge World is not allowed in this tournament, or Anything goes. Bring all the Forge World you want, or Forge World is limited in this tournament. I think that's a happy medium. If you know that you're like, you know what, I don't have any Forge World, and I don't feel like playing, you know, but against a bunch of Forge World stuff, then don't go. You know, and yeah, and I'm seeing some stuff in the chat where people are just like, you know, they don't, as long as you have the rules, then you're fine. Where are you getting the rules? Where are you getting the rules? And it's like they're not offering iPad books yet. They have some.
They have some. Like I bought the Chaos digital index for Pure Armor.
Yeah, they have some, but not all. And
we're just talking about we're just trying to, for match play, for tournament level, high level tournaments, you need to come up with limiters and deterrents for everyone to have an equally enjoyable time. And these are just some of the deterrents.
Right. And I'm caveating this, right? I'm not saying not to bring digital books if they have and sell a digital book. I have all the codices on iPad. It's a heck of a lot more convenient and everything. But if Forge World doesn't make the digital book, then where are you getting the rules? And by default, then we're condoning piracy, which is a problem. Well, and everybody can acknowledge that, right? So it's just like, well, okay, if you come to me with a PDF that you downloaded off the internet, in my tournaments, I'm not going to allow you to play. And that's just the way I am. I'm like, you know what? You need to have the Forge World book. And I don't think that's crazy to ask. It's like if you spent $400 on some crazy model, what's another $50 on the actual book? You know, and I've heard every excuse under the sun. It's just like people can use their army builder programs out there, right? Well, if you show up with just the army builder program and you don't have a codex, you can't play in my tournaments. That's the way I run stuff. And I'm old school that way. You know, not everybody is like that, but I'm just like, support the hobby, buy the books. And I don't care if you have a digital copy of the book, but if Games Workshop doesn't, or Forge World does not offer a digital copy of the book, then you are using some pirated PDF. And that's very clear. It's really obvious. So don't do that. You know, you're spending a ton of money on these models. The book is not that much more. It's not that crazy.
I think another issue that's probably more prone to confusion is there's been, you know, I just talked about there's 13 Imperial Armor books. Okay. So some of those were reprinted from previous editions. I think like 6 of them. Plus you've got Apocalypse. There was 4 or 5 Apocalypse books. So some of these units have literally 5 or 6 entries. So unless you can show somebody the book or the digital book, hey, this is, well, I guess you could tell now because 8th edition is completely different. But in the past, that was an issue because you would have somebody that would be like playing by this set of rules. And hey, man, that was the set of rules from 2006. What book are you using? And then they'd be like, oh, crap. You know, so you just got to be careful. And I'm sure we're going to start getting into that here in the near future as well. When, like I said, they come out with the Imperial Armor books and the indexes go by the wayside, because then, you know, we might be playing with a different version and there's more room for confusion there. So, but yeah, all these points are valid.
Well, and what you're bringing up is already happening. There is, you know, the whole thing of, well, if I build, and I'll use Grey Knights because I'm most familiar with that, right? If I use index Grey Knights, I can have my Cypherman Dreadnoughts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But if I use Codex Dreadnoughts, I cannot.
No, you can.
No, I can't. And that's the thing is like, if I stick to just the Codex, there is no Rifleman Dreadnought in the Codex. You cannot take 2 autocannons.
You can still make a Grey Knight. They said all those entries were valid. So you can still
No. That's not what I'm saying. Oh. What I'm saying is if you're going to use one or the other, right? Because they said that, hey, the indexes are going away. And I've played in tournaments already that said you can use one or the other, but not both.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Happening.
It's only a matter of time. GW made it clear that the indexes are not for life, that they're just keeping the indexes until all the indexes go away. Like right now, for example, in my Chaos army, I'm using Index Chaos Sorcerer on disc. There is no Sorcerer on disc in the Chaos Codex. None. But I want him. That's what I want to play with. So I have an Index Sorcerer, which is in my Chaos Basement attachment because he meets all the requirements. I have some things from the Index Demons in my list, which we haven't had a Demon Codex for already, and some things right out of the new Codex. Like GW says though, like, hey, don't get used to it because eventually that's going away. So be aware of that.
Yeah. Well, these are all good points that I think, we can make an argument for or against. And ultimately, it's just going to come down, check with your TO, check with the rules for the GT or the local event. And
yeah, I think there's enough room in this hobby for a spectrum of events with different rules. As we've always said from the beginning, it's one of the things that made tournaments really fun out here. I don't necessarily want a unified tournament structure.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that I don't want to tell you that you can't play with your toys. I want you to play with all your toys, but sometimes I don't want to play with your toys. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes I may not want to face a Titan.
Sometimes you got to draw a line in the sand too, because like there's a certain class of individual you're targeting when you're making these like hard lines in the sand. There's a certain type of tournament player you're targeting by saying these things like you need to have this, you need to have this, you need to do this, because they're like those guys who never showed up to your event. Like you basically didn't want them at your event anyway, because they were the guys who were going to come there with like 38 thud guns that they made in their Beats lab, out of bullshit, and use a PDF picture from someone's iPhone on how to use it, and then just make the other 28 people at your tournament feel like they had a shitty day.
Exactly. So it's like by setting up parameters where you're like, hey, you have to have the actual Forge World model, you have to have the actual book, whether it's digital or physical, but it has to be a genuine like Forge World product. By doing that, you lessen the saltiness overall of the entire tournament. I might make one player salty and he won't show up, but generally in my experience, and I'm only speaking for myself here and subjectively, in my experience, the tournament overall is better for that person not coming. And I hate to say that because I love the hobby. I want everybody to be able to play. But it's just like, hey, and folks are already, I can see the, I can see the people in the chat going, oh, do I have to bring a digital receipt for my digital book? And it's like, no, you don't. But we know what books are out there. If I can hop on Forge World Red site and buy a digital book, then I know you have that book. If it's not available, then you pirated it. It's that simple. It's not a magic trick. It's literally that easy. It's like, hey, can I go on the iStore or on the Android store and buy the ebook of this thing? Then your book's probably legit. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You don't need to bring a receipt.
I'm also not going to flip over your models and scratch them up to see if they're
China cast. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But it's like, hey, that goes both ways. It comes down to this. Don't be an asshole. And that's incredibly hard for some people to do.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, there's no harsher truth.
And some people are going to get targeted by our anti-asshole policies that are not assholes. But
unfortunately,
which sucks.
By and large, it's might be necessary.
The thing is, we're speaking of match play. Like we're talking thousands of dollars on the table, flying hotel rooms. Like I'm trying to make sure, like for our events, especially like at Adepticon and everything. Like I don't want people or the Long War Bringing Hobby Back event that we're going to be doing a primer here in Southern California in January. Like I don't want people buying plane tickets and staying in hotel rooms to have their experience shit upon by somebody else. And we draw lines in the sand to protect people. But
I agree.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we got some Eldars.
Eldar. Top 5, or not top 5, just new 5. New 5 Eldar Rules. Robbie B. What up?
So Eldar's coming. I think there's some interesting combos already coming off in here, and GW alluded to a few of them, and I think there's also some blanket rules that we need to touch base on because there's some dope stuff. So first off, the very first preview I think was maybe a little underwhelming at first to used to really start digging into it, and that was the Citronum of Iandon. It's for an Iandon Psyker only. And once during the battle, at the start of a fight phase, you can declare that this model will activate the Citro Gnome of Iandon. If you do so, for the rest of the fight phase, the attack characteristic of all friendly Iandon Wraith construct units that are within 6 are doubled. However, at the end of the fight phase, each Iandon Wraith construct unit that was affected by the Citro Gnome suffers D3 mortal wounds. So right off the bat, you know,
I did see the combos. I'm like, say what?
Yeah, say what? So you get to double your attacks. Wraith Knight. Let's look at Wraith Knight profile. Wraith Knight profile. Let me bust it open here.
Yeah, let's say Wraith Knight seems like it might be good for this.
Yeah, because it won't die from taking D3 mortal wounds. But I suppose in a pinch, you could.
If a Wraith Knight has like 6 attacks, hit on 3s or some shit, now it's got 12. I'm down.
Well, it gets better than that. But you could even play it on Wraith Blades because it's D3 to the squad. So it won't kill the whole squad, but it's still kind of unnecessary damage for a high point model.
As long as these dudes have more 2 wounds, if it's a 2 wound model per unit kind of deal, I'm down to play this.
You down to roll the dice on that one?
Oh, Jerry.
Actually, I don't know. Let's check. But I know they just bumped them up to toughness 6 too, and the Wraith Knight is bumped up to 8, which was perhaps needed. They are 3 wounds each, actually. So yeah, I'm all in on that.
All day.
Okay, so let's talk about Wraith Knight. So here's the Wraithbone Fist is interesting. It is strength of user neg 3 AP D6 damage. So that's pretty brutal. So you would double their attacks with base attack 4. So you get 8 attacks with that. Or you could get 8 attacks with the Ghost Glaive, which is the deleter of everything. Double strength. So strength 16, assuming no modifiers. AP neg 4, D of 6. Does 6 damage. You would up that to 8 attacks.
Wait, that's D6 damage.
No, 6.
It does 6 damage.
It's a deleter of men.
Wow. Holy shit,
that's bad.
That's
bad, son.
Now,
is it any minuses to hit or anything like that?
Nope.
How many points is that joint? Do you know at the top of your head? I just want to know.
I don't, but I can find out.
God damn.
So weapon skill of 3 up to hit with these guys. But remember the Spirit Seer, if a Spirit Seer is within 6, this is right. This is just standard. If a Spirit Seer is within 6, you can reroll 1s to hit. And they're a caster too. And because they're a caster, I believe this Citro Gnome could be played on them. Let me check the points on that real quick. Let's see. Wraith.
I mean, it's almost not necessary. 8 attacks, hit on 3s, 1 on 2s, because strength 16 wounds everything in the game on 2s.
For the most part.
Bypass your armor. You're only taking invulnerables anyway, or you don't have a save, or you're, whatever, 6 damage per. Like, I mean, you're just saying, like...
you can split your attacks.
Like, I mean, he kills Rabute Gilliman. Like,
yeah.
I'm just on math.
Just
basic math.
2 heavy Wraith Cannons. So he's 402. Now he's toughness 8. 2 heavy Wraith Cannons, 17. So 34.
So he's like over 450 points.
Yeah. Over 450 points. Move him to 12.
That Ghost Glaive has to cost some points for sure.
It's only 10.
Ghost Glaive's only 10 points.
Or 11. Excuse me. Titanic Ghost Glaive. Oh, excuse me. 65.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I was like, because, Malefic Talons are 10 fucking points on a Demon Prince, bro. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's 65.
Those bitches are -2 rend 2 damage for 10 points. I was like, this is the best. So 65 points seems like what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Does the Wraith Knight still have, is he fly keyword?
He is not fly keyword, but he's unstoppable revenant. He can fall back and still shoot and or charge during its turn.
Oh.
It can move over infantry models when it falls back, although it cannot be within 1 inch.
Can it attack units? Can it attack people who are airborne in close combat?
No.
Oh, shit.
Nope, it can't do that. It's got short controlled bursts. Now, this is saying it's toughness 8 in this book. I thought they bumped that up, but perhaps perhaps I missed something somewhere.
So Wraith, so we're talking about new okay, we're getting off topic. So this is a relic that lets you double the attacks of these Wraith bone motherfuckers.
And along with the actual Iandan preview, which they just put out 2 days ago. Let me find that. That's the built-in stuff. This is Psyker stuff from Altoy.
Everyone got love.
Yeah, everybody got love here.
So everyone went +1 toughness. All these bone construct motherfuckers, right? All these Wraith people. So they all went up to more suitable toughnesses in the game.
Yeah, for same points is what they're saying.
That's good. It's good.
I forget exactly what G-Dub said, but they did raise the toughness. So I'm not sure if that means it's toughness 9 now, because in this book it's 8. I may be misspeaking. I'm going to have to go back and read that article from GW there. But the Wraith blades, just in case, are definitely toughness 5. So they are 6. They did say that. Now, when you combo this with, like I said, there is the ability of, there's a stratagem that allows an Iandan Spirit Seer to have the Spirit Mark ability extended out to 12 inches. And that's that reroll failed hit rolls, and all failed the hit rolls instead of just 1. So not only does it extend it out, but it also makes it all hit rolls for 1 command point. Seems solid, but like Kenny said on the math, maybe super not necessary.
Yeah, mathematically, I mean, man. Like, I'm not going to be going out of my way to make, I'm going to try to keep them in that 12-inch bubble for sure, but I'm not going to commit I'm not going to say.
6. It's only a 6 bubble unless you play.
But the stratagem, if I'm getting into it with somebody who has some 3 invulnerables, rerolling 1s like Magnus, I would definitely I would play the command point to extend the bubble and just try to make sure you close Magnus out in one round of attacks.
Yeah. The next thing I thought was pretty neat was there's a Craft World stratagem that is not a psychic power. It's Celestial Shield, and what it does is it allows a friendly Guardian unit, whenever it's chosen as a target of an attack, played in the enemy shooting phase, that unit now has a 4-up invulnerable save for the rest of that shooting phase. And you might not think that that's like, and it may end up not to be anything super big. Once we start seeing all the psychic powers and stuff, if they changed, if they stayed the same. But, back in the day, having a big block of 20 Guardians with a 4-up invulnerable was actually pretty
I'll tell you right
decent.
now, 20 Brimstone Horrors have a 4-up invulnerable. It's a pain in the dick for people to get through.
Yeah, and Guardians aren't no slouches in general.
Well, they still have that kind of Eldar rending, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's not okay.
They did say they expanded the Runes of Fate's discipline, so I don't know. I don't know what that's going to mean, but it might be pretty dope. Another thing that's going to apply out to everything is another stratagem that I thought was pretty neat. It's called Feigned Retreat. Use this stratagem if a Surian unit from any of your army falls back. Now, this was under the Beal-Tan preview, so I'm not sure exactly who all is going to have that keyword, but if it proves to be, widespread, whenever a unit from your army falls back, that unit can still shoot and charge this turn. So that's something you don't see on infantry level models.
They're bringing that in more and more though. Like Ultramarines got it,
but they're neg 1.
Right, they're neg 1, but you're seeing GW sneak it in where it needs to be snuck in. It's a very powerful rule.
It looks like all the aspects have it. Dire Avengers, Striking Scorpions, Howling Banshees.
That's a strong ass rule.
Ooh, Fire Dragons. So that's pretty cool. And then there was a little thing where they're trying to kind of bring back the Court of the Young King, and you can do some stuff. It's not exactly going to make my list, and I'm not sure if this is too expensive, but it's just kind of rounding everything out that we've seen so far that I'm kind of digging, is the Avatar in the fight phase. Not just any time, not if he gets burned down. In the fight phase, if the Avatar dies, for 3 command points, he comes back with D6 wounds.
Damn, GW sneaking in a get back to your feet stratagem all over the fucking place. I mean, Gilliman does it on a 4-up for free, and St. Celestine on a 2-up. But damn, Avatar.
It's a little restrictive. Fight phase, like I said. Is it going to be worth it? I don't know. Will the Avatar make a difference? It seems like they're already kind of comboing some other things off based on your proximity to the Avatar, which we saw in the past. Things used to be fearless.
So just in the fight phase, damn, he's going to get shot to death.
That's what I'm saying. But maybe there's stuff to protect him. I don't know. We haven't seen the whole preview yet, but this is something to keep in mind because I think the Avatar hasn't, air quotes, been good in a very long time. So there's some potential here.
It needs something. You know what I mean? It needs something. Because like when somebody plops an Avatar on the table, I'm like,
is the Avatar an under or over 10 wound character?
That's what I was just looking up, actually.
Yeah, because I'm just like, you just spent a lot of points, bro, on something.
If he's 9 wounds, I'll get that motherfucker.
I think he's a little over, isn't he? No, I don't know. Could be misspeaking again.
I don't think he's the Lord of War.
No, he's not in the back. Where are you, Mr. Avatar? We need you. Avatar King. Here he is. He is 8 wounds.
So if you like him and he fits into your army list, you're probably getting a close combat if it's your goal, because you'll be able to hide him in a block of guardians with 4 up and vulnerable, walk across the table, do your thug life, get into a fist fight with Rabute, Gilliman, beat him down a little bit, go down yourself, stand back up, finish him off because he's going to do the same thing. I don't think building a strategy around it is very effective because it's 3 command points, but it's cool. It's a buff, but it's not.
Oof.
It's not Ghost Wraith Glaive doubling his attacks. It's scary.
But he is strength 8, neg 4 AP, D6 damage, 2d6 to pick the damage, pick the highest.
Oh no, he ruins that ass. Like
yeah, he does.
So like if he ruins Rabute and Rabute gets up and then ruins him, he can get back up and finish Rabute. Like it's possible.
He's actually, I don't know his points, but he's got some really interesting rules.
Yeah, he's strong. I mean,
yeah.
Not a lot of scenarios, but like I said, if you love Avatar and he's your jam, I got 3 command points for you.
Yep.
I got hide him inside of a 4-up and vulnerable block of dudes and run across the table.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. Like there's some solid combos here, and a lot of them we just talked about were based on stratagems. So I'm digging it. I think we're definitely seeing a clear trend to stratagems maketh the book or the faction.
There is a massive difference between not having stratagems and having stratagems, for sure. So many combos.
Yep, I totally agree there. So that's pretty much, I don't know how many that was, but that's what stood out to me, at least thus far, knowing what we know at this point in time.
I mean, I love them all. I love the 1 command point bubble, make this guy reroll hits. I love the pop this relic, make this dude double his attacks. I love the make a unit of duders have 4 up and vulnerable. I've used stuff like that for a long time. Just play there. That's all. That's a wombo combo. Like if you do it right.
Yeah, the 1 command point, the gilded race site or guided race site, very good, very strong, for sure. But we'll know more. New previews coming out every day, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more once people start getting the codex in hand and start showcasing those.
Scrawny Xenos, I just can't wait to give them my hands and just ring their little.
Just choke them.
Yeah, because here's something that bothers me about Eldar for Eldar players, right? Is do we have word of them getting any new sculpts, plastic kits, something?
I mean, we didn't really see any of that from the book, but remember, they still got from the release schedule, at least for week 1, but they still have the potential to do the splash release, campaign books like we saw where all the triumvirate stuff come out. There's no reason they couldn't do that for whole units,
Yeah,
so,
true.
Or maybe they'll do something with holiday bundles, like, hey, get the new units on, you get this bundle, but this bundle comes with one of the new units,
Because I think the Phoenix Lords are legit, like from 2nd edition.
They are. The War Spreaders are still from 1994.
Yeah. So, so other than Eldrad, who needed a new model, frankly.
Most definitely. He was small.
So I will shed a tear for my Eldar players out there that you guys are getting boned on models.
But that's it. That's the only tier.
Well,
that's it. Yeah. That is literally it. You get one. Everybody gets one.
Everyone gets one.
The tears of Aisha.
Well, that might be a short episode. I can't tell because we talked about Eldar so long I lost track of time.
There are people out there to play Eldar still.
I mean, it's like, I don't really hate Eldar Tau because if they didn't exist, then like, what's the point of me playing the game? My whole point is roll across the table and choke the life out of those armies. And if those armies didn't exist, it would take away a lot of my fun. All right. Well, I'm done talking.
All right. Haspil, take us out of here.
Too bad she won't live. But then again, who does?